here's Brody Brazil.
You've probably seen that image and the meme of Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, right? Only one of them's real, but they're standing across from each other, pointing at each other, looking identical, kind of suggesting like, wait, I'm you? You're me? What exactly is going on here? How could this possibly be? That's kind of the theme of this video, because honestly, has anybody ever seen Brock Purdy and Buster Posey in the same place at the same time? Just saying, not guaranteeing anything, just saying, maybe they're identical. Maybe they're the same thing. No, in reality, I know they're not. And as we look at their faces side by side, there's Brock, there's Buster, I'll even throw in myself here, Brazil. Yeah, I'll beat you to the punch down in the comment section below. I realize we all kind of look similar. But this has so much more to do than just appearance alone. I'm talking trends and trajectories and similarities and commonalities. There is so much virtually the same between Brock Purdy and Buster Posey. It's almost kind of eerie, and that's why I'm going to point out these 10 things. And I'm actually going to start with pretty much the most basic one that we could. Their initials are BP, both of them, Brock Purdy, Buster Posey. Who would have thought, right? And by the way, sorry to Brandon Pajemski of the Warriors. I tried to fit you in here, but the narrative just didn't work. I couldn't make it work for you also in this video. But how crazy is that? Even the Warriors have a BP. In addition to the Giants, obviously Buster now is the president of baseball operations, and Brock Purdy is the franchise quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I know, you're thinking, is the rest of the video going to be this simple and this cheesy? No, I've got much more deeper details to get into, but that's kind of the thing here. Of all the things, how crazy that even their initials are the same at BP. Let's dive in deeper. Both Brock and Buster play, or in the case of Posey, played, a central position on the field that dictates leading the team and obviously wearing a face mask. The second part of that is simple. Every football player has a helmet with a mask on it, but only in baseball is there one player on the field, the catcher, who wears a mask and sits behind the plate. But that kind of leads me to the first part of all this. The catcher is basically the most central position defensively on the field. They're the one that can see the game looking the other way from all the other position players. A catcher is usually somebody who leads the starting rotation, works with the bullpen, a lot of times calls the game, and that is so similar to the quarterback. And look, there's never a defense and offense of the same team on the field at the same time, but when Brock and the offense are out there, just like when Buster and the team defense are out there, Buster's leading the Giants defensively, I should say, Brock Purdy leading the 49ers on the field offensively. And so whether it's getting the ball to Ricky Pearsall or Debo, and if McCaffrey ever gets back, and it's too bad Brandon Ayuk is now out for the season, but the point is, no matter all the other star players on the team and whatever they were going to do, everything kind of has to run through Brock Purdy when the 49er offense is out on the field. And again, same thing for Buster. When the Giants were out there defensively, the catcher is kind of the quarterback of the baseball field and the baseball team when they're out there not taking their at-bat. So that also an easy commonality. I'm not here to say that either of these players was or is undersized, but Brock Purdy certainly is not the biggest quarterback out there, and Buster Posey certainly wasn't the biggest catcher to ever play Major League Baseball. You can have taller quarterbacks and you can have, girthier catchers out there. They do exist, but I mean, even the height and weight. We're the same height here with Posey and Purdy. I almost tried to mix them together there. 6'1" for both of them. And Buster Posey at his playing weight, now I think he's lost some weight here. He's having a hard time maybe keeping it on. Can't say at his playing weight now that he's not playing anymore. 213 pounds as a player. Brock Purdy comes in listed at 200 pounds. Now look, I realize these things fluctuate all the time, and I'm not here to get into people's weight, but if those are the two things I found listed, that's crazy that they're virtually, or were, 13 pounds apart in terms of their playing weight. Literally, same height, same weight if you put them side by side in the playing days. Buster and Brock also both overcame critical injuries at early points of their career. You may recall that Buster Posey and his ankles got taken out at home plate trying to make a tag, had to go through surgery and make that comeback. And then Brock Purdy had the elbow injury on his throwing hand. 2023 had the UCL tear that had to be repaired. So it says something about a young player who's got a lot of potential, got a lot of ambition, is given a job, an opportunity, and a role. And for Buster, by this point, he had just won the World Series in 2010, so 11 was kind of that throwaway year. 2012, the Giants would win another World Series, same thing in 14, and Brock Purdy's been to a Super Bowl, but to think about the UCL injury that he had to come back from and even start last season, not this current one, but start last season with a little bit of soreness still, it says a lot that a player could overcome a big injury like that early in their career. Buster and Brock also have this optimally. They're a key piece of success, but they don't need to be the star individually. I mean, let's go back to the Giants of when they were winning those World Series and Madison Bumgarner and Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain on the pitching staff, or a Brandon Crawford or a Brandon Belt or a Pablo Sandoval, you name it. There were so many other stars of that San Francisco Giants team, and Buster Posey was no doubt one of them, but he did not have to be the person, the star, the focal point, the centerpiece. He did not have to be that for the San Francisco Giants. And I think that's fair to say about Brock Purdy. And look, he'll get criticized being a system quarterback, and that means that his skill players offensively, they have to do all the work. All he has to do is fundamentally be sound, and they'll take care of the hard work and the heavy lifting. But I don't think that's true either. I think that's not an accurate criticism at all. He's doing what he's asked to do, and it's successful, and there's part of a game plan, and it's part of utilizing the other star players on the team. So I do think it's fair to say that between both of these players, without them, the Giants wouldn't have been the same, and the 49ers wouldn't be the same, even right now while they're a little depleted without Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy doesn't need to be the star of the team. And maybe if you look over at like the Kansas City Chiefs, without Patrick Mahomes, they're a lot different offensively. And I don't wish to know what the 49ers look like without Brock Purdy, but my point is Mahomes kind of has to be the star, one of the big stars on the Chiefs, whereas maybe Brock Purdy doesn't have to be that on the 49ers. Buster and Brock have both led their teams to title games or a couple World Series in the case of Buster, and I realize Buster never lost a World Series, and Brock Purdy has yet to win a Super Bowl, but it's early. Like, let's not make that too much of a thing. The point is, how often do you even see players on teams like this help give their team a chance to play for the ultimate title? In Buster's case, getting to 3 World Series in 5 years and some other playoffs, but winning every single World Series that he got to, that's huge. That's kind of unprecedented. Not a lot of athletes can say that's how it went for them, but Brock Purdy has already been to the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers. He'll hope to be back several more times and get a couple more cracks at this and get the 49ers a ring or more. But I think it's just an interesting thing to say that you've seen these players play on the biggest stage. I mean, what if Brock Purdy and the 49ers never got to a Super Bowl together and they played in the conference championship every single year but never could finally crack getting to the Super Bowl? Well, we won't have to answer that question or wonder what that's like because they've been to the Super Bowl. Now they're trying to get back and win it. It's just a commonality that both players and their teams have been to the very final stages. Okay, with Buster and Brock, both drafted by San Francisco, and teams and franchises that, well, Buster played his entire career with the Giants. I mean, you'd hope that for Brock Purdy if it all works out and it makes sense for both sides. But no, they were definitely not drafted in the same way. I think of all the commonalities here, this might be the one thing that I will have to point out that is glaringly different. Buster Posey was the 5th overall selection in the 2008 baseball draft. Brock Purdy, as you know, Mr. Irrelevant, chosen as the last player in the 2022 draft. That is 262nd overall. But the point is, the commonality here is that both players drafted by San Francisco teams that as of right now, I mean, Buster already did it, and there's nothing that would maybe necessarily stop Brock from playing the rest of his career as a 49er. That next contract, the next year's contract that he's about to sign, we'll see. How much is it worth? And for how many years? And maybe is this season a part of it? Have they already bought into him? Does it make him a 49er for life, or at least a lot of his most formative years on the football field? So again, a huge commonality of how they were selected and how their careers might go. Both Buster and Brock, in terms of media stuff, I feel like they give meaningful comments and quotes, but they're definitely not outspoken with a microphone or in the general public. And I think that's just a commonality of leadership, of personality, of approach. It's not to say that Buster won't tell you things or didn't as a player or his interviews were boring. And yeah, Buster was a little bit more spicy maybe than Brock has ever been. Brock is still entering the profession. And I think baseball and football players are different. Baseball players get interviewed every day. So, of course, there might be a little bit more chippiness in some of these answers than football players who do a podium twice a week and that's it. But I do think that both of them are fairly reserved. I mean, look, neither one of these players are George Kittle or Pablo Sandoval or you name it, any other personality player of the San Francisco Giants or 49ers. They're just a little bit more toned down. They're careful. They're thoughtful. They give meaningful quotes, but again, definitely not outspoken, overspoken. They don't give you a whole lot of personality. But both have done television commercials for Toyota. Let's go places. I mean, wait. Literally, it feels like, and I don't know that Buster's commercials are done. Maybe they are. I keep seeing them. I don't know if they're older commercials, but it seems like when they kind of moved on from Buster, they're like, wait, let's get the next San Francisco leading sports figure. So they went right from Buster to Brock. And I know Steve Young is in there too, but what are the chances? And actually, you know what? When I started thinking about doing this video, it was after I watched Brock in a Toyota commercial from the start of this season. I was thinking, wait, these used to be the Buster Posey commercials. They're different theme, different storyline and plot, but how crazy is that? Just another commonality to go along here with the rest. And I think this is the last one here of 10. Both Brock and Buster seem to have good relationships with their coach, or in the case of Buster, manager Bruce Bochy, and the ability to have a long run with each. Sometimes the young player and the longtime coach, I realize Kyle Shanahan hasn't been an NFL head coach for as long as Bruce Bochy had been before Buster came around, but the point is there's kind of somebody tenured that's in there in that coaching and managing spot that's already been doing this for a while, that gets along with Buster like Bruce did and gets along with Brock like Kyle definitely seems to have that relationship with. So really good fostering relationship with their coach and manager and the ability to work in tandem with each. Now we know that Buster didn't get to play all his years under Bruce Bochy, and maybe Brock will or won't. That remains to be seen. But the foundations are there that not only can these two players maybe play their entire career on one team, but that they can play a majority of their years under the leadership of one person. So again, same thing? No, that's impossible. They're different people, but they have so much in common with each other. Did I get it all right? Did I miss something? Is there something obvious that you need to put down in the comment section below? If that's the case, go ahead and do that. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up. That greatly helps me and this channel and this video. I would really appreciate that. Also, take one quick second before this ends. Go down there and make sure that you are already subscribed to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.